do is connect this to the relay inside that panel.
Stop. Open it for him. If there's a weapon in there, you're going to die before your captain.
Satisfied?
Proceed. Hurry up. You're running out of time.
There's just one other thing I need to tell you. You can all go straight to hell.
Welcome, everybody, to Deep Space Pride, a gay Star Trek podcast. My name is Mike. I am one of your hosts, and with me is Johnson, my co-host. Johnson, happy Wednesday. How are you today?
Happy Wednesday, Mike. I'm doing okay. Actually, right before we started recording, my nose started bleeding, so maybe I am dying, but you never know.
That's a bit
But
dramatic.
right now, I'm okay. Right now, I'm not bleeding, so...
Oh, good. Can you hold it together? Can you stop bleeding for maybe an hour or so?
For an hour, I will try. I'll do my best. I
mean, we do record these on video, but we never share them, and I delete them. But, your death scene could be riveting Star Trek television.
Maybe that will happen one day, and we can share with everyone.
There we go.
Sometimes I just wake up and I'm like, still breathing.
And other days,
I'm like, still here.
Still here. So yeah, how's your week been? How was your weekend? You went home to visit mom last weekend?
Yeah, I saw my mom.
How was that?
She's alive. I think that she's doing well. Yeah, so this is the first time I've seen her since December. And so it's been a while. But she's looking good. And she was like, I am happy living alone and just not having to worry about taking care of anyone. So she's adjusted well, I think. Yeah. She's liking life.
She's living her best life right now.
I don't know if she's living her best life, but it's life. It's something. And we did go out. We went out to eat lunch and dinner. It was the first time she dined out in a while. She's fully vaccinated, so there were no concerns. And it was nice. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
But my week has been good. It's been busy, but productive. And oh my gosh, I've been just consuming so much content. It's been great. We can talk about it later. But yeah,
we're gonna talk about off topic. So hold your
enthusiasm and excitement. Segment. Yes,
we do.
What about you? How was your weekend? How's your week been?
I'm sitting here as you were talking about that. I'm like, what did I do this weekend? I did have a very busy weekend. You're right. Yeah, I hung out
you had a brunch that became a dinner.
That is true. On Saturday, that was a lot of fun. It was just great to just relax and actually not think about anything except just enjoy being around people. And we're all vaccinated, and there was a slight vaccination war going on. I mean, most of us were Pfizer.
Oh, I see. I was like, what are you talking about?
Vaccinated. But we did have a couple of Moderna, and so there was a little hilarity ensued on classism with vaccines.
Classism.
But all in good fun because we're all happy to be vaccinated. And
my second shot is this Saturday. So
excellent.
I have no Sunday plans because I'm sure.
Yes, it's probably a good idea.
I mean, I really felt the first one. So
yeah, I know. Well, your body just got
I understand
the virus, so
that is correct.
Was seriously pissed off at you.
It was not pleased.
But anyway, yeah, so we consumed quite a bit of mini bottles of champagne and prosecco and brut, and so it was good. And then Sunday was a little bit lower key. I have no idea what I did during the day. I can't remember, to be honest. I'm sure we did something, but Sunday night I went to dinner with Dennis and his brothers. So yeah, so that was good. We had a nice.
Where'd you guys
dinner,
go?
nice...
You said you ate a lot of meat, right?
Keen's Steakhouse. Yes.
Oh, okay. Keen's.
Was,
yes.
Yeah. So it was close to one of his visiting brothers' hotel and close to Penn Station for the other brother who came in from Long Island. And so, yeah, it was a really delicious meat. I will say that. So Dennis and I had this discussion on the way back home.
I love good meat.
Yeah,
that's not meant
I
to be a sexual reference, but I do love.
No, I
love steak.
As do I. This was really delicious steak. The sides were, they were okay. And to be honest, like the whole meal for me needs to be like good. I mean, it was still very delicious meat. I enjoyed it. I ate my whole steak. I got a nice medium New York sirloin. It was delicious.
Don't you usually do like medium well?
I did ask for medium well. I came back medium.
Oh,
and one of Dennis's brothers came back medium well, and he asked for medium. So we were like, but it was really good. But we compared it to Gallagher's, which is another steakhouse that Dennis and I went on a date to. Oh, but you really liked Gallagher's. We did. You know why? Yeah. Because the meat was good. The sides were excellent at Gallagher's. Here, the meat at Keen's, the meat was great. The sides were meh. So
there's nothing like really good sides. I love good sides.
Yeah, I do too. It makes the whole meal. You can
I was gonna say,
the
totally
meat.
Like rounds it out.
Yeah. So I think we would go back to Gallagher's again for sure. Their French onion soup and their mashed potatoes and everything was just amazing. And the meat was, they do dry aged meat, and you can actually see all the meat from the outside. They have basically a locker, or I don't know what you call it, but it was a great dinner, and and Dennis got the largest prime rib I have ever seen.
Oh my god,
it was huge. When he was done, he looked like he barely had touched it.
Yeah.
And so we brought that home, and we actually ate that Monday night with some salad. So warmed it up, and so we got another night of meat. A lot of red meat.
Love meat.
But the other bit of news that I am really excited about is that we have started getting meal plans from Home Chef.
Oh yes,
and they are a lifesaver. Let me just tell you, a lifesaver. I feel like I have my life back.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you don't have that extra stress at the end of the night, and it gets easier throughout the week. So we get 4 meals right now. We may end up upping it to 5 at some point.
Okay.
But you get 4 meals, and then you pick one. The first day you pick one of 4, and then it's pick one of 3, and then it's pick one of 2, and then you have no choice. So decision fatigue done.
Maybe we need Meal Chef to sponsor one of these episodes.
Maybe we should. I'm a huge fan of this. So, but 15 minutes or less on prep time for almost all the meals. So that's super great. Yeah, and I'm super excited just to have that weight lifted. So,
more time for Star Trek.
And I've watched a lot of Star Trek lately.
A lot of Enterprise.
A lot of Enterprise. And so you and I were talking, and last week when we talked on our last episode, we didn't really have a plan for this episode or the future yet.
I have some ideas, but they are definitely more elaborate. So I don't know.
They are. yeah, they are
It
quite
would take
elaborate.
planning.
So
It would take planning and
yes.
thinking and sitting and thinking. So
Yeah, and I
don't
didn't
know.
want to think this week, but I did finish my Enterprise rewatch of season 4.
Season
I
4
actually did watch.
specifically.
I did well. I watched the finale of season 3 and then watched all of season 4.
Mhm.
Probably
Including
what,
In a Mirror
within-
Darkly again, correct?
I did watch
Yes.
In a Mirror Darkly again because I love Netflix's autoplay. Sorry, Paramount
know.
Plus, but I do watch it on Netflix. I did watch the intro for In a Mirror Darkly, but I probably only watched the Enterprise opening once during that whole run. Like skip intro,
Yeah,
love it,
who
love
needs
that button. So yeah, so in the last week and a half, maybe, or two weeks maximum, I have watched all of season 4 of Enterprise, including the finale of season 3. And so I had thoughts, and you had just finished your Enterprise rewatch not too long ago.
Yeah,
But
not
you
too
had
long
left
ago.
off on the finale. You didn't watch the finale.
I watched like 10 minutes of
And-
it, and I was like, I don't
Right.
need this again in my life.
Yeah. So I
Essentially.
proposed as something really easy for us to talk about, since we want to also get to off topic this week, that we're going to talk about the Enterprise finale. And
Mhm.
so you watched it in its entirety, and that's what we're going to talk about this week, is all things Enterprise, including the finale.
If you hadn't waited until the last minute, you would have had time to memorize your speech.
Sound like my 9th grade teacher.
There are dignitaries here from 18 different worlds. It's a good sign. I wouldn't be surprised if this alliance begins to expand before we know it. You should be very proud of yourself, Captain.
I'll be proud of myself if I get the speech out in one piece.
That's not what I meant.
I know what you meant, Phlox. And I appreciate it. But this is not about me.
Why do so many humans refuse to take credit where credit is due? There are times when modesty and humility are quite illogical.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
Well, I've got 3 wives waiting. I'd better go and join them. I'd wish you good luck, Captain. But you've always had an ample supply.
Thank you, Doctor.
I'll start because,
I only have one thing to say, Mike. All good things.
Yes. That was a blatant.
whatever.
There were so many blatant little quips like that, and I thought, oh, these writers think they're being funny. Haha. So yeah, so let me first back up to the penultimate episodes, right?
Oh yeah, you said you have feelings, correct?
Yeah, Terra Prime,
Yes,
and whatever the
feelings.
predecessor to Terra Prime was, which was the 2-parter essentially.
Yes, I don't remember.
I don't remember the name
So
of
bad.
it, but just really great episodes, and you get to see. I don't know, really. You get to meet this crazy guy. You get who Earth first and all of this stuff, and you get to. You really get to see some great conflict from an Earth alien perspective, and that's on against the backdrop of Earth starting to form an alliance with all these worlds, and it's a great. This is a really great A-B kind of story plot line, where both plot lines were kind of interesting. Maybe the B plot line was the Mayweather and his ex-girlfriend.
Oh, that's right. It's all connected.
I don't know. It's all connected, but
yes.
Yeah, there was a lot in these
They
two episodes.
had to give Mayweather something to do.
Well, and I was actually, so they gave Hoshi and Mayweather a lot to do in these 2 episodes. A lot. And
What did Hoshi do? I don't remember.
She was in command of the Enterprise.
Oh, she was?
Yeah. When Archer went down to Mars, he left her in command.
Oh, I don't remember that. Oh,
yeah, it was
okay.
great. I was super, super excited. To give these 2 characters finally after 4 seasons something to do.
So sad.
It is sad, and we talked about it last week.
They had stuff to do in A Mirror Darkly.
Yes, they did.
They both had things to do.
They played. So they got really they got about 4 episodes of some really great character building for them. I mean, two of them are in the alternate mirror universe, but
Right.
you know, it was great to see them included in this as well. And
I did not remember Hoshi being in charge of
yeah,
the Enterprise.
she
I
had
mean, I remember
to.
Travis's whole ordeal.
Yes, of course, yeah. With the Starfleet intelligence girlfriend.
Yes.
But Hoshi had
she
to
had to
go
like
up against.
disobey. Didn't she disobey an admiral or something?
No. She disobeyed the minister, which she's not in her chain of command. Which
Oh,
she
okay,
said
okay.
she pulled it out and said, "You're not in my chain of command. I'm not releasing. You know, I'm not following your orders." And
It's like, yeah, bitch.
so you know, there were some good moments for Hoshi, and I felt like, oh, that's awesome. And then, you know, so
And then the show's
these
over.
episodes. Then the show's basically over. I mean,
It's
we
over.
might as well end it there. I mean, that really, you know,
and then you felt
yeah,
things.
well, you know,
And
I
told you to
felt
put
for
it. I told you to put your feelings in a box.
box. Yes, you did.
Yes.
You know, I felt for T'Pol and Trip and the
Trip has
loss of
so
their
many
kid.
feelings. My God.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I really love that they named the baby Elizabeth after his sister, who died in the Xindi attack. Yeah, so that was a nice thing. You know, I over the fourth season, I really did start to enjoy the Trip to Paul dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I liked it. I thought,
you know, yeah. I mean, so according, you know, I'm also listening to the 50-year mission book, and I specifically jumped. I have not finished it, so I can't really, you know, I may have more to share in a future podcast about what I'm learning from the Enterprise portion of this book, which is like 4 hours. This book is like 30 hours. It's the second book of the it's the 2 book. They did a 50-year. It's basically all the gossip and all like people's thoughts about the 50-year journey of Star Trek. And so the first book is all about the original series, and the second book starts with Next Generation and goes through the J.J. Abrams stuff. And I jumped ahead to the Enterprise one because I wanted to kind of hear where they went with the finale. But I've been in, you know, kind of in, I mean, it's a lot. Basically, it's all talking heads. So it's people. Fortunately, they have different narrators reading each person who's speaking, but it's like,
okay,
Manny Cotto said this, Rick Berman said this, you know, Brennan Bagger said this, all of these people, and then these, you know, some of the actors and everything. And so I'm really getting a perspective on Enterprise. And
what was your main takeaway?
What a shit show.
It was a shit show.
I mean, behind the scenes was a shit show. Wow. Kind of crazy. Yeah.
What was like the biggest issue?
Well, you know, it's the same thing as, you know, Voyager had, you know, there was a transition. CBS actually took over UPN during Enterprise's run. So they had, you know, a switch in kind of people overseeing them. It had been 15 years of Star Trek. And, you know, a lot of, I would say, and I use this term very gently, but there was a lot of inbreeding in the writer's room. You know, there was also a lot of turnover. A lot of people getting fired. Just you know, I mean, it really suffered from boys club syndrome. Really, I mean, it was probably disgustingly white, straight, male.
At least Voyager had like Jerry Taylor.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of like,
and she's
like spearheading things.
And I think speaking of Jerry Taylor, I think she's going to be at Las Vegas this summer.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, I mean, it's just, there was a lot of behind the scenes drama, and I think I'm only up to maybe the beginning of season 3 right now, as they start to talk about the Xindi arc and all of that. And they're saying about the Xindi arc that, you know, it wasn't influenced. Some people say it was influenced by 9/11. Some people say it wasn't. So it's a lot of he said bullshit, to be honest. I'm like, you know, honestly, if I owned the network, I would have fired all of your asses.
Easier said than done, I think.
Of course, you know, but just a lot of drama, a lot of politics and backstabbing, and just yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't have a great feeling about the behind the scenes. And so I'm anxious to kind of move on and hear about season, towards the end of season 3 and go into season 4 and see, because they brought Manny Cotto in,
Right.
So at first he was excited about the Zindi arc, although he was looking to do more standalone episodes, which we got to see in season 4. And so that's where I'm at. But so let's, so all of this leading up to, great In the Mirror Darkly 2-parter, a great Terra Prime 2-parter. And then we come to the series finale out of the blue. And, I'm disappointed. I mean, it's really disappointing, to be honest.
Right. I was saying to you, I really think on paper they were like, this is a great idea. Like, let's bring everything together. It's gonna be, their thought was like, it's gonna be a Valentine to the fans. That was their exact wording. And I'm sure someone was like, this is a great idea. Someone like probably woke up in the middle of the night and was like, this was perfect. This is a great way to wrap up the show. But it was just like not good. It wasn't good. It wasn't total disservice to the Enterprise cast.
I would agree. 100% total
I think that's
disservice.
One of my biggest issues with it. And having Riker and Troy kind of take the spotlight. It was kind of just all over the place.
Yeah. And yeah, a lot of missed opportunities. I think it, so even though I think it would have been slightly redundant. Well, 2 things. First of all, the jump 7 years ahead. So they'd been on Enterprise for 10 years and nobody looked very different. And maybe Hoshi was a lieutenant at that point. I don't know. Like,
was she?
I think there were 2 pips on her collar during this episode. I don't know, but to make that big of a jump, they were decommissioning the Enterprise. Just a lot of things that didn't make sense. Like, there were very minor changes to the bridge set to show that time had passed.
I told you the best thing about this episode was that we got like a CGI rendered Enterprise D. That was nice.
You know what? I was thinking about that today as I was kind of preparing for this. You know what I would have preferred? I would have preferred to see a CGI Warp 7 ship.
That'd been cool.
Because that would have been cooler, right? If you're gonna invest in something, they talk about the Warp 7 vessels. Let's see one. And no, of course not. So yeah, there's the 7-year jump or 6-year jump. And then
and not that much has really changed.
Right. No, nothing has changed in 6 years except
T'Pol and Trip.
Trip.
Do you ever think about like our relationship from the last episode, which was 6 years ago, 7 years ago, as if it just they had just ended it? It was not. There wasn't enough of a shift in terms of the dynamics to represent like a 6-7 year time jump.
Not at all. So that that was my first problem. The second problem was I would have I think it would have been fine to let Troy and Riker like leave the holodeck and let the whole thing continue to play out and actually hear Jonathan Archer's speech. Although we did hear him give a speech at the end of the Terra Prime episode, so probably overkill. Like that was his big moment. But I just felt overpowered with the Enterprise, the Next Generation stuff. Felt really sad for the crew, the cast of Enterprise who were kind of shunted to the side to interact with Will Riker as Chef, who we've never seen the Chef in 4 years. So suddenly he has this really intimate relationship with all of the crew. Like T'Pol tells him things that she would never tell anyone. Please, like it just was not believable. So it just, but one of the high. So for me, one of the highlights was seeing Shran back, and kind of observing that whole scene, because Shran is such a great character, and also to say, oh, you're still alive. We all thought you were dead. So again, another time jump that really had felt very hollow. Oh yeah, Shran died like 3 years ago. Okay, it was
Right.
just this pointless BS, and then all of that to lead up to Trip dying in an explosion, or actually, and this is my problem also with the Terra Prime thing, is that we never really see. I think it would have been powerful to see like a burial of some sort of Trip and T'Pol's daughter on Earth somewhere. I think that would have been powerful. Same thing here. You kind of, I mean, Trip is dead, but you don't see any honoring of him, so it feels very empty. Like he goes into the hyperbolic chamber and you never see him again.
Right. And then there is that scene between Jonathan Archer and T'Pol, but then afterwards it's like, oh well. And then they're like in the stadium or whatever it is, and they're just like chatting. I actually had a similar response to one of the twists in The Expanse season 5, which we can.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Yep. I mean, it's just it just
felt like kind of like whatever. Like
okay. The whole
to what end?
Yeah, the whole love letter to the fans, I call BS on that. Someone convinced themselves that they thought that they knew what the fans wanted, and did not even consider the cast of Enterprise in that process. So I felt like Terra Prime was kind of the end of Enterprise, and this was like some story that I wish we could go and retcon and actually give the Enterprise crew a true finale and just focus on them, and not this interplay with Troy and Riker about the Pegasus.
Really too bad.
Yeah.
And then I was also saying, like, I just thought it was so odd that they chose the Pegasus as the framing device.
Yeah, you said that. You mentioned that.
Yeah, I mentioned it because it's not a bad episode, but it's not like a fan favorite by any means. It's just like, it's fine. So it's just like odd that they would choose that as like the episode to frame the finale around.
Yeah, they needed some quandary that Riker didn't know what to do, and he went back in time to see what the original crew of the Enterprise 200 years before would have done. Are you serious? Like, who would go back that far? You would just to get
I'm like,
an
what
answer
did
to
you really
your question.
learn? Get out.
Yeah. So I felt a little gypped. I think that they could have given the cast a much better send off, or done the story as the story of the signing. I don't know why it has to take 7 years. In Terra Prime, everything was like, 2 or 3, 4 years, maybe. We had to jump 7 years.
I guess they had to
granted,
just align it with the date that the Federation was founded or something.
Oh, is that it? Oh, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, that's probably true. I don't really remember.
Because Federation Day, whatever it is.
Yeah, right. Yep. So that's interesting. Yeah, that's probably the case, but still,
just making the dates work, probably.
Yeah. So just overall, really disappointed. So I really think that Terra Prime was kind of the end for them, and to be honest, and I've never read any of the post finale Enterprise novels, but I know that they do bring Trip back somehow.
Yes, I was, because I'll go like, sometimes I go down this rabbit hole on Memory Alpha, but sometimes I'll also go down the rabbit hole of Memory Beta, and just read like this, like basically fan fiction. And it turns out in the novels that he faked his death because he's like actually Section 31 or something, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah,
et cetera.
Something absurd.
And then he and T'Pol live happily ever after on Vulcan.
There we go. Well,
and they have like 2 kids.
I mean, that I could see, based upon where their
Oh, that's
relationship
nice.
is. Yeah, based upon their relationship at the end of Terra Prime,
Yeah.
I could see them.
I mean, I would
Being
want them to have like a happy ending.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. And yeah, let's go with that. Anything
Let's
is
go with
better
that.
than honestly, anything is better than that finale where Trip dies. And I do another moment that I do like. I love Phlox saying you never needed any luck. I like that goodbye with Phlox. I also do really think it's touching that Archer hugs T'Pol. I would think after even 10 years being together that she might return the hug, but she didn't.
I know.
Or at least partially return it, but nothing. So I think there are a lot of misses here, and then the rest of the crew sit up in the nosebleed
I know,
seats,
and they're like just chatting up
to see all of this.
Trip's dead. Too bad.
Yeah.
Why are we so
just,
high up?
Yeah.
Whatever.
So I just feel like everyone kind of got the shaft on that episode. Although it was clearly, I did like the heroics of Trip trying to protect the captain at the last minute.
But where was security?
Where it is totally. The only thing I thought about that was that the crew was down to like 84 people, so probably not a ton of. It was a much smaller crew, I think. But yeah, it's just where was security? Why would you not, this whole idea that this ship kind of found them and chased a warp 5 vessel, that seemed very unbelievable. Again, no exterior shots to show what they were
just need
flying.
to make things happen, like plot points happen.
Yeah, it was yeah. So I think I said this to you, lazy writing here. Like really lazy writing. And
but hey, again, the Enterprise D looked great. They did a good job recreating all those sets. I was like, this is a lot of work.
Yeah. And other than Riker looking a little bit fuller in the face, I mean, Deanna looks great. I love, we
did she have those Deanna. Bangs though? I don't remember those bangs.
I don't know.
I heard that she they couldn't find her old wig, so they had to give her a new one. It wasn't quite the same. Because I thought her hair was a little bit off.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it seems more like the hair she had in the movies, right?
Oh,
wow. She did. Yeah, than she did in the show. Yeah. So. Yeah. I agree. They did a nice job with the Enterprise D. They did a great job with the sets. Pulling those out after what was it, 10 years?
I was also okay.
Although they had the movies, so I think recreating those were probably easier.
Were those sets retained? You think?
No, but maybe at that time, Star Trek Las Vegas, experience, Star Trek The Experience might have been around.
I'm sure if we look up a Memory Alpha, we can figure out if they had to rebuild all those sets. Or
again, not important because you're like this. It's an Star Trek Enterprise finale, not a episode of The Next Generation,
right? Which it really seemed like that's a thing.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. So I definitely and this is the 20th anniversary year of Enterprise, and it's been 16 years in a couple weeks since this finale. So,
wow. I feel old.
Yeah, but I thought I had a couple more questions.
Okay.
So, do you remember when Enterprise kind of came out? Like, what your thoughts were, like when you heard about it, or what were your hopes for kind of Enterprise? Do you remember any of that?
Oh man, that was like 2001, right?
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. I was a sophomore in college.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting that they want to make it a prequel. I wasn't sure how that would turn out. Keep in mind that I'm not the biggest TOS fanatic, so
right.
I wasn't like, oh, I really want the show to make all these connections to the original series. I didn't really have that particular aspiration for this show. I was a little bit concerned in terms of how dated it would look. Like, would it be, because like we've been kind of spoiled with TNG, DS9, Voyager, with all this advancement technology, and now we need to do a prequel and take a major step back. That was like, I think that was like those were some of my initial thoughts. But yeah, why do you ask?
No, I was, because I also was thinking like how, what were our hopes for the series, and what was kind of delivered, and then how it ended obviously was very disappointing.
Right.
But you did kind of see the overall arc that they were trying to create with the show.
Yes.
I
think by season 4 I had a different feeling about Enterprise, and also when Manny Kato took over and he started to do all these episodes that specifically tied into the mythology of Star Trek, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool, like, because I think that he kind of brought to life the potential of what it was going. Like, I think maybe some fans really wanted to be, building more on the mythology of what already existed. And when that started happening in season 4, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. I started to appreciate it more.
Yeah. One of the things that I learned in listening to this book is that they really wanted to initially start the whole first season as something Earth-based. And at the end of season 1, launching the Enterprise.
Oh my God.
Then there was also the whole idea that submarine in space, which, kind of speaks to the design aesthetic, which makes sense for the first interstellar Warp 5 vessel. That makes sense. And we talked a little bit about it just as we did last week, talking about fight or flight, right? Mm-hmm. Just how unprepared this vessel really was for interstellar space.
Right.
But there was this push to not do so much Star Trek mythology. And, I don't remember, I thought it was exciting when you would see some aliens and you would kind of get that experience that, you were kind of looking through it as, newbie eyes, right? Someone exploring interstellar space for the first time. And, but I think for me, in rewatching season 4 and the end of season 3, I really did love to see the interactions with the aliens that we got to see in TOS, like the Tellarites and the
right. Otherwise,
Andorians.
it's just another like Alien of the Week kind of deal.
Right.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Which I think it has been an issue with Star Trek, particularly when it comes to such an episodic nature of the show. But
Alien of the Week.
But then it's even more of the same. But then it becomes just more of the same.
Right. Yeah. No, I think when you mentioned the mythology of the original series, I think that I don't know what I thought back then, but I think now in rewatching it that I preferred the building of more mythology and interaction with these aliens, and even adding aliens that we did, it would have been great. We in Fight or Flight, we met the Axanar, which has been this, obviously this ongoing, somewhat negative piece of the whole Axanar Star Trek series, that movies, but more importantly,
are you talking about the fan series?
Yeah, the fan series that never happened. That piece, but also, that was a tie back to TOS as well. And so it would have, I think meeting more aliens and getting to know more aliens would have been an more interesting experience. But I think the bottom line for me is that when you started to build on the TOS mythology with the Andorians and the Vulcans and the Tellarites, who are the 3 major, for the most part, aliens that we saw in TOS, I think that made the show that much better.
I think this is an example where it's like, just give the fans what they want, because I think they probably wanted to carve their own path when it came to the storytelling. versus
Yep.
kind of just playing into what fans want, and that's okay,
But
Um,
creating, doing great writing, if they did great writing, which that, Manny Cotto did and, led in season 4, they could do it, but it took
yeah,
them 3 seasons to get there.
right.
Yeah. So that was my first question. The other thing, what would you have liked to have seen in a finale for Enterprise?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not prepared for this question.
I know.
I should have you should have given me this question ahead of time.
I should have. Yeah.
Good job. Good job moderating. Well, why don't you why don't I think about this, and why
Okay.
don't you tell me what you
Sure.
wanted?
I mean, I think the first thing that I would have liked to have seen would be the actual signing of the charter. I think the second thing I would have liked to see is T'Pol and Trip like actually make a commitment, maybe even a marriage, whatever, something where they would stay on the same ship together or whatever the next adventure was for them. I think it would have been interesting to give each of the characters, like, I think Hoshi making a decision, some decision about her career. Yeah, I think giving her something where she actually either chooses to go to an embassy on another planet, or something where she's working. She does, obviously she creates the linguistic translator that they all use in towards the end of the season. But so something like that kind of fulfills that character, but also maybe shows her growing up and being more in command of what she wants to do, versus kind of being like, just being more determined about what she wants and what she doesn't want.
There's a lot happening in this finale of yours.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a dream finale, something, Malcolm, taking over Section 31 would have been interesting. Or becoming a captain of another vessel. And Travis, like, doing something different than flying the ship, like something that would give his character kind of more to do. I'm not sure. I think that the ex-girlfriend Starfleet intelligence angle was interesting. That would have been kind of cool to see him go and work for Starfleet intelligence. So and honestly, I think like Archer becoming an admiral of the fleet, or fleet captain, or something new fleet captain or admiral of these new Warp 7 ships.
This is like the longest epilogue ever.
Well, I mean, they could have done this over a 5th season, like kind of build out these things and give, or even do a half season of the 5th season and kind of build out these things in a way, rather than rush through it in a half Next Generation episode / Enterprise finale. But you get all of this great development of character towards the latter half of season 4, and then you like cut it off at the knees by giving us a Next Generation episode in there, which I feel gypped. Quite honestly, I feel gypped. What are your thoughts now that you've had a little bit of time to?
Yeah. So as you were talking, I heard everything that you said, but I think that So I think that 2 of our favorite Star Trek finales are probably All Good Things and Endgame. It took me a minute to think about it. And in both of those instances, I think that it's focusing on the captain's journey, right? The captain's journey, and it ties everything back to the beginning of how the show started. For Star Trek Next Generation, it was about Q and this exploration and edification of humanity, right? That there was the idea of like, what is humanity? Like, what does it mean to be human? Like, what is the potential to be human? For Voyager, it was all about this journey that they started in the Delta Quadrant, and Captain Janeway making this decision to strand the crew. And ultimately getting them back home, but then also, again, kind of redeeming her original choice to go for the greater good, versus just making this decision to play it safe in some ways. I'm trying to think what that would look like for Enterprise. I'm not sure. The time travel element, unfortunately, which is utilized heavily in All Good Things and Endgame, I think was not. By the time you get to the Enterprise finale, they've used the time travel card so much that I think that would be hard to go back to, unfortunately, because I think that it would have been cool to jump forward, but then Captain Archer needs to do something to like save the Federation. But he's done that so many times, like, you know, like Daniels, like that was what Daniels is doing. Like, you got to survive to, you know, make sure the Federation is birthed, right? I feel like something like that, if they hadn't played that card so many times, could have been really, really well done. Because it's like, yes, time skipping to the birth of the Federation, but something happens and he needs to like make sure that that isn't derailed in some ways. But and you can see the journey that him and his crew have been on, and what it took to get there. I think that's been cool. So I'm just trying to think like what that would be for Enterprise, but I think that that's a problem. It's just like they went back to that well one too many times about the Federation. It's like yes. So something along those lines. I don't know. And then yes, I would want Trip and T'Pol to have a happy ending.
Yeah.
But I definitely think showing the signing of whatever the charter, I think that's critical because that brings it full circle to Broken Bow and everything, and kind of, you know, what started there. And then I don't know. I'm not a showrunner. I'm not good at like coming up with like how this is going to be executed in a good way.
No, I think you have some really good points in there. I think that's a really, you know, there's a lot of fertile ground in there for how that might all wrap up. Certainly seeing the crew changed and maybe doing something else and coming back together for that moment. You know, we talk about Trip and T'Pol, maybe they come back from Vulcan, you know, for that signing. Maybe, maybe Captain Reed and who, you know, his first officer, Mayweather, come back and they're on the Warp 7 ship, something like that.
Maybe like one final mission for the crew together to make sure that, you know, that the Federation happens or something. Maybe there doesn't need to be a time travel element. It's just like they're a little farther along, but they need to do one final adventure together to make sure everything comes together.
Yep.
Blah blah.
Yeah. That's that I would agree. Like that, if they're gonna jump 7 years into the future, people should be different, and we should see that and figure that out.
Yeah, it could have been like a kind of like a undiscovered country kind of scenario where, you know, they're kind of drifting apart, but they need to all come together one final time. Yeah,
exactly. All right, well, cool. Well, I think that's a pretty hearty discussion of the Enterprise finale. When we talked about doing Women of Trek, I did not think that we would end up talking. Well, one, I did not think I would end up binging the whole final season of
your Enterprise Renaissance. Are you going to go back to seasons 1 through 3?
No, I think I've got it. I'm done. I the Xindi thing doesn't really, I've seen it, doesn't really excite me all that much. And to be honest, like seeing the spits and starts of, them exploring at the beginning, an angry Archer at every Vulcan that he comes across, which I find a very limiting character trait of his. None of that really interests me, and I can't even name one season 2 episode that stands out that I would even remember. Maybe I would go back and watch season 2, but I think I'm going to move on to some other things. There are a lot of off-topic
Oh my God, there's so many
other
shows.
sci-fi out there. So I think I've given Enterprise enough love for now, and so here we are at the end of our Women of Trek, doing a Enterprise finale kind of recap. So thanks everyone for coming along on that journey.
And we need to figure out
all good things.
We need to figure out what we're going to do next
must come
time.
to an end.
What was that?
Well, we'll worry about that. No, I was
You mean
saying
next
all
week?
good things must come to an end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. So let's move on to something that we haven't done in a while.
I know, it's been so long.
And you've been bugging me about this for a while.
Yes.
But let's talk off topic.
Yes, off topic. Cool. So, Mike, what have you been watching that is not Star Trek?
So I think the one thing that I finally caught up on because I had to, because the internet was exploding with this stuff and I did not want to get spoiled, was the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus.
Yes.
And I would say that the finale was good.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I did not read the comics, so I did not know how this was going to end. At the end of episode 5, I kind of had an inkling that there was probably a Captain America suit in that box that was delivered to him. But I thought it was actually, I thought he actually did a great job inhabiting the role of Captain America, and even his speech was I would say mildly inspiring.
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. I thought it was all right.
I think the intrigue around Sharon Carter, right? Is that her name?
Correct. Yes, Sharon Carter.
Is both intriguing and slightly disappointing.
Yeah, I was like kind of like I didn't like what they did with the
this.
character. I was like, all right.
I don't either.
Yeah.
This is this is the woman that is Sharon is maybe Sharon is her mom, no? I forget.
So she's a descendant of Peggy Carter.
Oh, Peggy Carter. I couldn't think of Peggy Carter's name.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved Peggy Carter. So I think that it was
I was a little bit annoyed with her arc, her story arc.
Yeah, which was a small blip in this whole thing. I thought that the Bucky arc was much more interesting. And sort of the buddy matchup of the two of them hating each other and then becoming really good friends.
Yes.
Yeah. And Bucky going on to kind of redeem himself even further. So I think it was a really good ending. I think the whole intrigue with Sharon killing the terrorist, I can't think of her name, but Kiri or something. I don't know.
I don't remember. Unfortunately. Oh shoot.
I never was really clear. I was never really what?
Kareem? I don't remember her name. No, I don't remember.
Oh yeah, her name. Yeah, no. So that was that was also I think a miss.
Yeah.
The US agent and the mysterious Val. I love Julia
Dreyfus. And she brought a little bit.
It's just a little bit much, and I would have liked to have known a little bit more about what she does. And also, I'm not a big fan of US agent / former Captain America. Honestly, I didn't really like him as a character, and
it's okay.
Yeah. So I really didn't like.
Well, Julia Dreyfus' character is also supposed to be in Black Widow, so I think she's going to have more of an expanded role in the MCU. I just liked her. She brought some of her comedic timing to her character.
Yeah. It was intriguing, and we got no knowledge about her, who she is or what she does. And
it's like teasing her. It's like they're trying.
And I'm sure that part of it is that it's already been done in the comics. And if I really wanted to know, I'd go find out in the comics, which I in this case, I just don't have that much interest in it. But I thought it was a great 6-hour movie, honestly. They did some really good things with it. And this coupled with WandaVision, I think that, whether this is
I
true
loved
or not,
WandaVision.
it was very good. I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm wondering if Marvel is pulling some Disney Star Wars stuff, and like really starting to tie things together. Although they did really great with the movies, bringing it to TV, they did not do so well.
No, they didn't.
AKA the Netflix series is.
All of them, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Netflix series, Runaways,
all of that. That's very sporadic, but I think they're finally getting it.
Right.
And I think that that's probably a little bit of Star Wars, the Star Wars team at Disney kind of influencing them. Because Kevin Feige has been linked to some Star Wars stuff. So I think that there's some carryover that he's learning from, maybe the guys at Star Wars, who I can't think of their names right now. I can picture him, Dave Filoni.
Right.
So there is that. So yeah, I think it's really good. I'm Loki's coming up next in June, which I think will be what I like is all of these series are kind of tied together a little bit, but they're each different. So I'm interested to see what Loki's going to be.
They're also not very long.
Yes. So that's mainly what I've binged other than Enterprise, because I've really been on an Enterprise binge. So there's that. I know that I need to go and watch For All Mankind.
Please.
That's probably what I'm going to watch next.
Please.
That's pretty much it. I'm watching slowly. We're almost done, actually, finishing up Imposters season 2 on Netflix, which is a con artist show, comedy / drama. Interesting, but that's pretty much all I've really had time to kind of devour lately. Now, you have been devouring a lot, as you've said, and I'm curious how, like, without making this a 2-hour episode about Off Topic, what are you going to talk about? What are your 2 favorite things that you've been binging in
Oh my God. Okay. So we watched some more content. I don't think I've been watching that much more content than you, because remember, I had a TNG kind of like binge. So I was like, right. Well, quite a bit, particularly like in between like big.
And you got a bonus episode with the Enterprise finale. So
yes. Great. So yeah, WandaVision was great. I really liked WandaVision because it was so different. And Falcon and Winter Soldier I also enjoyed, but it was more typical MCU. So I still liked it. I didn't love it. WandaVision, it was just unique. It was just, they tried something that they haven't tried before, and that was just
and it was 30 minutes. It was short,
and it was intriguing. You're like, what's happening? You want to know more?
There's a lot of mystery.
So they did a great job
versus the almost hour-long episodes of Winter Soldier.
Correct.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So yeah.
But the 2 things that I've watched recently that I am so obsessed with, but they're over, is definitely For All Mankind. This season was really good. I can't wait for you to watch it so we can talk about it. There's one storyline though that made me just scream at the TV repeatedly. I'm sure you'll know what it is when you come across it.
Like Red Wedding screaming?
I'm not gonna say anything. It was just like, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I was screaming.
Okay.
Yes,
gotcha.
Just,
okay. All right. So I'll look forward to that.
Yes.
Yep. What else?
A lot of screaming. And
all right.
Shadow and Bone. I finished it in 2 days.
I knew you were going to talk about this.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Serious
I'm
obsession.
A total. Well, so I think I'm more of a fantasy buff than you are. You're definitely more of a sci-fi buff.
Yes.
I'm like
yeah,
fantasy and sci-fi, so sometimes I just have this itch for like good fantasy drama. Like The Witcher was really good. Game of Thrones,
yeah. The
whatever.
Witcher is
Game of
good.
Thrones is
Yeah.
good.
Yep. Yep.
This was definitely really good. It was, it could have been a little raunchier. Like there could have been more like, but it's kind of like YA, so I guess it's fine. But it was just like so compelling. They kind of, you remember how in The Witcher they kind of just throw you in it, and you have to
Yes.
just figure out like who are these people, where are they? There's so many terms, names,
Yes.
This is similar. They kind of just throw you in. You kind of
I don't
figure
know if
out
I can
like,
do another. I can't. I don't know if I can do that.
but it takes like one episode to like kind of figure out,
Okay.
and then you're like, okay, I kind of get it. It doesn't take too long. But the first episode I was a little confused, but honestly, by episode 2, it doesn't take. The Witcher took me like I think 2, maybe 3 episodes to really like wrap my head around like what was happening.
Yeah.
And if you call The Witcher season 1 was also confusing because there was time jumping, kind of like there were like not parallel tracks, if I recall.
Yeah.
So that made it also very confusing because you're not realizing that like decades is passing for these people because they age slowly, and it's like that does not help. That does not happen here. Spoiler. But they just do a really good job of world building. Ben Barnes is very attractive when he's broody. He's just an attractive man, and then when he's brooding, it's great. Like there's something about kind of like angsty, tortured men that is definitely a thing. It's just like, oh, like something's bothering him. Was he, what is it? And he does.
So if you know any dear listeners, if you know any angsty, tortured men out there who are single, let us know, and we'll
I don't know
set
if
them up
I
with
would
Johnson.
want to be in a relationship with someone like that because it's like it. I think that would require too much therapy, but I do enjoy it on the screen. It's like what's his face from Bridgerton? Like the Duke of
Renee, yes.
What Duke of what?
He was just the Duke. He was the Duke. His first name is Renee something, really hot. Yes.
Hot, but he carries a heavy burden, right?
And yes, he has a complex relationship with his dead mother, his dead father.
Yes, and you're like, he's hot but broody. There's something there,
Yeah.
So Ben Barnes is totally the kind of character. But honestly, everyone in this show they're almost all unknowns, but I don't know, they did a great job casting. It was just really good. The special effects are top notch. They threw money at this. You're like watching it, and there are dollar signs everywhere. You just can see the quality. And the thing I really do appreciate about Netflix is sometimes like you're like, especially like in the past when you're watching a network show, you're like, this is a CW show or this is an ABC show. You can kind of just tell. It's like the way they like film, the production values. It's like you get it. Yep. The thing about Netflix is that they source from so many different countries and so many different like production houses that you get all this random content, which is honestly makes it really interesting. I'm really looking forward to some other shows. Elite season 4? Yes.
I don't know what is Elite.
Oh my God. Have you never seen Elite before?
I don't know. I don't believe I have.
Okay, Mike, you have to watch Elite. I'm sorry. I have no choice.
Can you give me the TLDR of the overview of the plot for Elite?
Elite
clearly
is like
season 4.
It's a Spanish show.
Okay.
It's the best way for me to describe it is Gossip Girl meets How to Get Away with Murder. I don't know.
Okay. I know both of those shows. I've watched Gossip Girl a long time ago.
I hated Gossip Girl.
I'm almost ashamed to say that. But I've never watched a minute of How to Get Away with Murder.
Okay, How to Get Away with Murder is really good.
Yeah, I've heard.
It's
yes,
like,
I get that.
But also Viola Davis is just amazing.
Yeah, she's an amazing actress. Yes,
you should watch. You should give Elite 3 episodes.
All right, I'll consider it. We'll see.
And you were like, because I was saying that Shadow and Bone. I was like, it's amazing. And then you were like, you say everything's amazing. I was like, that is not true. I'm just selective with my content. If it's not amazing, I'm not going to watch it.
I think Dennis agreed with me. Everything you say is, oh, it's so good. And if
All
you
right,
can imagine,
so what I said
if you
is
can imagine,
so
dear
good.
listener,
What I
how
said
he
is
does
so
this,
good that you're like, this is shit.
he's like S-O-O-O-O-O, like 1,000 O's,
Okay.
and then good with 1,000 O's.
But
So
no, but
good,
tell
Mike. You
me-
have
but
to
tell
watch
me
this.
What have I said is so good, but you're like, this is shitty.
No, I can't think of anything that you've said that's so good that's shitty. I just haven't watched everything that you think is so good.
My point is that I'm very selective with my content. So
I mean,
because if it's not really good, I'm not gonna watch it.
So we did binge that Korean crazy drama End of the World.
Alice in Borderland.
Alice in Borderland. That was good.
That was very good. I enjoyed it immensely because it was a little different.
Completely unpredictable.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that was like. I wouldn't say that's like so good, but I really enjoyed it because you couldn't tell, you didn't know what was going to happen.
Oh, I was intrigued the whole way, and I didn't know what was going on, and I actually kind of loved it. It came at the right time where I wasn't in need of a show where I knew what was going to happen, or I could basically tell where it was happening. So it was intriguing enough to do that. But the other thing that you said so good, which I was already a fan of, was Expanse season 5.
Oh my god!
That was an excellent season.
So good.
That was an excellent season. I'm interested to see how the final season is going to kind of shake out.
I still want to do a bonus episode for the Expanse season 5. It was so good.
I mean, that's a lot of homework because I'd have to go back and watch it again. And
I think we talk about it in broad strokes because I think that we can talk about the Expanse season 5 focused on the 4 or 5 characters, and their journeys.
And their journeys, yeah.
And
which are all really great.
And that's the thing. Like, they do a really good job just focusing on the characters and telling their stories. And because I think we talked about this, like by the end of season 5, it's like things have happened, but it's not like so much narrative has happened. It's more about what has happened to them along the way.
Yeah.
Because the net change from the start to the end of the season, like Marcos Narios, he doesn't die or anything. Like, in terms of his progress.
No, he starts a war with the galaxy, with the solar system.
Well, he was already like, at the beginning of the season already like, wanted. So it doesn't like change that much, but it's all about their individual journeys. So I don't know. That's just an example of, I just think, really good storytelling, and we can talk about.
Yeah, that's the good. That's a good character building show, and it does some world building, but not a lot. World building.
Season 1 and season 2 was a lot of world building. It was
which I actually went back and watched prior to season 7. And then it kind of gets lost in season 3, which I did not rewatch, and season 4 I'd watched when it aired 2 years ago, and
season 3 was
mildly
pretty good. It was like the one with Peaches, like it was like
when
she framed him.
I don't remember that season.
Season 4 was when they were on the other planet and they were investigating like the artifacts.
Artifacts, yes, which I found mildly interesting. But I missed the kind of I don't know. I missed some of the
planetary
drama. Yeah. So I mean, you do have some so good suggestions. I just think that every time you find a new show, you're like, this is so good.
Well, if it wasn't good, excited. I wouldn't recommend it. So hey, I can be very critical. Have you not heard my criticisms of Picard season 1 and Discovery season 3?
Yes, I know.
Yes. I was season 3. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, you are very critical about them. I enjoyed both of those seasons.
Yes, I gave them much more. I enjoyed them.
Yeah, you did. That is true.
Would you like me to revisit any of those criticisms so I don't have to say so good?
No, I do not. No, we need to wrap this up.
Okay.
So, all right. So there are some great suggestions, a lot of suggestions, actually. That's more than the two that we.
I also
Oh,
want to
wait.
watch
Oh, man.
Stowaway. Stowaway on the new movie
Yeah.
with
It's
Anna
a movie,
Kendrick
right?
and Daniel Day Kim.
Yeah. Yeah. I do
Yes,
want to. That's in my kind of
it's on my
Netflix
list.
queue of things to watch. Yeah. Actually, quick aside, I did start watching Stargate SG1 as
Oh
I
my
was
god, that
waiting
was
for
like
you.
suggested to me on Netflix.
Yeah, no, it's like a top show. I started watching it because I wanted to kind of relive the beginning of it, and I watched like 15 minutes before
I
we got
never got
on here to do
into
that.
Stargate. I watched Stargate Universe. Do you remember that? It was like only one season.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. No. Yeah, that was semi bad.
I enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
that was.
And the guy was
It
hot.
was fine. It was fine.
The guy. I don't
What
know
was
his
that?
name. The guy was hot.
Oh,
that doesn't help.
yes. He was in Brian.
I don't know his name.
Yes, I
He
know
was
who you're
also
talking about.
in
He was in Sense8.
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 Yes, he was the cop.
Yes. Yeah. He is hot. Yes, I agree with that. All right. Well, I think we should wrap it up here. We've given our listeners a lot to dig into and off topic, and if they wanted to go back and watch Enterprise season 4, which I highly recommend, just stop at the Terra Prime episode and consider that the end of the show.
It's like, yeah. I stopped at Terra Prime and I did not need to watch everything else.
You did. You did it the right way. And I was like, nope, I binged this whole season. I gotta watch it. So,
correct. Yeah.
But anyway, why don't you tell our listeners how they could reach us if they wanted to share their thoughts on the Enterprise finale?
Wait, what about our sponsor?
Or season 4? Or our sponsor. Oh, well, why don't you tell them how, and then I will quickly do some. I was not prepared. We did
You were not
prepared.
prepared. See, you caught me off guard. So that was my
yeah,
payback.
you did. That's fair enough.
All right.
I can talk about fans. That's very easily.
Yes. So if our listeners want to reach us, you can email us at deepspacepride@gmail.com, or you can reach us on social media on Instagram and Twitter. And our handles there are at Deep Space Pride.
There we go. Finally, we want to give a huge shout out to Fansets, our sponsor. Yes, Fansets. Our pins have character, and I just did a great quick search for Star Trek Enterprise, and let me tell you, there is the Starship pin NX-01. There's a Mako pin. And then we get all the different versions of Enterprise. There's T'Pol.
Oh, you know what? Going back to your original
question,
question about my expectations of Enterprise, one thing that really threw me off was like, why is there another ship called Enterprise before the original Enterprise? That was confusing to me when they announced that. Do you remember that? When they first announced it, they were like, people were like, what? There's another Enterprise before the original USS Enterprise? NCC 1701. What is this?
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, it's just like a retcon or whatever. And there was some.
I don't know if it was retcon. I mean, to be honest, the whole idea of we had an Enterprise spaceship. It actually lives a few blocks. Space shuttle.
The shuttle.
The shuttle. Yes. That got named the Enterprise because of Star Trek.
I understand. I'm just saying the discourse around that time was people were like, why is there another ship called Enterprise?
Well, it makes sense to me. 1701, clearly it's a great name for a ship, and
all right, whatever. NX-01 pin. NX-01 pin.
There is an NX-01 pin. There are a ton of micro crew pins for the Enterprise. I just found a Shran pin, which I am eyeing. I think that's great. Yeah, so there, and then we have the variety of eyes and looks for some of the characters. We talked about T'Pol's look last week, but there's Malcolm Reed, there's Dr. Phlox, you got it all. So head over to fansets.com, put some of these great Enterprise pins in your I don't see the dog, actually.
Porthos?
There's no Porthos. Oh, there's a Zindi ship though.
Oh, I'm surprised there's no Porthos.
I don't see there is no Porthos pin.
Oh.
Hey, fansets, how about a Porthos pin?
That's too bad.
That's
a missed opportunity.
Maybe, yes. Maybe there will be a Porthos pin for this year because it's the 20th anniversary. Maybe. Number one was released a year ago. So number one being the dog of Picard.
Of Picard, yeah.
So anyway, if you head on over to Fansets, put some pins into your cart and enter in all caps DS Pride, you're going to get 10% off your order. And if you have more than $30 worth of pins, which isn't very hard to do, you will get free shipping in the US.
Have you tested our code recently to make sure it works?
Not recently, but I'm sure it works.
I hope it still works.
Yes, I'm sure it does.
Because that'd be a shame.
Yes, I'm sure it does. And if it doesn't, send us a message right away and we'll get that fixed. Because we have a
and we'll get it fixed right away.
Line. We will. I mean, I'm sure if it doesn't work, it's a slight oversight, but not a huge one, and will be easily rectified. So, but anyway, support Fansets because they support us and all of the podcasts on the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. So there we go. Correct. Next week, we have no idea what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure it will be a riveting conversation.
There are some thoughts.
I don't think we're going to have
things in the pot.
We have lots of thoughts here. If you want opinions, we've got them. So
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like quiet as a mouse.
You're one of the most opinionated people I know.
I have opinions once in a while. It depends.
Once in a while being all of the time. Yes.
Sometimes I just like to listen.
Great.
I like to listen and observe, and let people say
you and Dennis rival one another for your listening capabilities. Let's just say, as I try to get words in edgewise here to bring us to an end of this episode 30 of
I'm just saying
Deep Space Pride. Well, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you listening to us banter on incessantly at times, but we appreciate your support, and definitely give us a shout out on social media. Send us an emails. We would love to hear what you're watching and what you think about. Yeah, I mean, I can always use some other suggestions besides.
You want more suggestions?
So good. No,
I can give you more
really.
suggestions.
I mean, I do. No, I know you give me too many suggestions. I'm not. I really only can watch. I can only watch 1 to 2 shows because I don't watch a ton of TV. Although I did binge Enterprise. So.
And are you still on your Babylon 5 binge?
No, that's a story for another podcast.
Okay.
HBO and I are fighting right now. So
what?
Yeah, it's a whole nother thing.
Oh no.
Yeah. So anyway.
Oh, I've also been watching the Nevers. The Nevers on HBO.
I did see some ad signs around the city about
it's
that.
Not bad.
So yeah.
It's not my top so good choice, but it's not bad.
Yeah, HBO and I are not getting along right now. So
no.
A story for another podcast. But anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we will talk to you next week about some wonderful Star Trek topic, and we'll have thoughts and opinions as always. All right, everyone, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Deep Space Pride is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
looking at